guys, this is Michael from Creative Drums, and today I want to share with you some of the grooves and ideas that you're going to find on this PDF, Variations of Grooves in 7. So you just saw me playing a bit with some ideas and variations in 7, and most of the things that I was doing here, they are on this PDF. And I just wanted to say that if you go to my website and you check it out, you are going to find that the PDF actually comes with 3 original backing tracks. Each backing track comes in 6 different tempos, so you can study in very slow, medium, very medium, fast and very fast tempos. And besides that, the PDF comes with audio files of all the exercises. So even if you're in doubt about how an exercise should sound, you can go and check it out and listen, and it will help you to play better. That's what we want, that's what I want, and hopefully that's what you want as well. Now I want to show you some of those exercises, and let's go for some drumming. Okay, so the first section of the PDF is called Straightforward Grooves. And on this section, we're just seeing simple grooves in 7/8. So instead of counting in 7, we're actually going to count 2 groups of notes. One group of 4 notes and one group of 3 notes. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So the first count of 4 notes, we're going to play just hi-hat and bass drum. And it's going to sound like this. Now the second group of 3 notes is going to be just hi-hat and snare, and it's going to sound like this. Now the whole groove sounds like this. Now playing together with the backing tracks. Okay, now we're gonna have a look on one of the variations of this groove. So instead of playing straight 8th notes on the hi-hat, we're gonna take a couple of those notes out. So on the first group of 4 notes, we're gonna take out the note that goes together with the second bass drum. It's gonna sound like this. Now the next group of 3 notes, we're gonna take out the notes that goes together with the snare, and it's gonna sound like this. Now the whole groove is gonna sound like this. Now playing together with the backing tracks. just saw that in the end there, I chose to go to the right symbol. And the idea of this PDF is that it just gives you different ideas and different variations, and you can appropriate yourself and do whatever you want. It's not supposed to be just on the hi-hat or just on the right symbol. You can even get the right hand and put on the floor tom if you feel like, or the left hand put on the first tom. Who knows, use your creativity. Now I want to talk a bit about another section of the PDF that is called groupings. So we're just looking at groupings of 2, 3, 4, and 5 notes between the snare and the bass drum. And this groove that we're going to look is a groove in 7/4. This whole section is in 7/4. So that means that we have 14 eighth notes or 7 quarter notes, right? This groove, the way that is separated, we can look at it and count 4 groups of 3 notes and 1 group of 2 notes. So the counting would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So if we have a look on how the groove is organized, we have the same pattern repeating 3 times, this first pattern of 3 notes, which is bass drum, snare, and hi-hat. On the middle we have a different pattern, which is just 2 times snare, and then again a hi-hat. And on the end we have a group of 2 notes, which is just bass drum and hi-hat. If we play the first part of the groove, if we separate the groove in the middle and take this first group of 6 notes, it will sound like this. And then the rest of the groove would sound something like this. So the whole groove sounds like this. Now playing together with the backing tracks. Okay, now we're going to have a look at one of the variations of this groove that I just showed you. So on the PDF, for each groove, we get extra 4 variations of that groove. And what that does to you is that it really helps you to enhance your vocabulary, your coordination, and your technique, and to internalize each groove, because you're just seeing the same groove through a different perspective with a different variation. So after working on that, it will really help you to enhance your creativity as well, because you just have several different possibilities within the same groove. This variation that I'm going to show you of this groove, we're basically going to take a couple of notes out of the hi-hat again. So instead of just playing 8 notes, when we're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, every time that we're counting 3, we are taking the notes that corresponds to the number 2. Okay, so the first pattern of 3 notes, we're gonna just take the note that goes together with the snare. So it's gonna sound like this. So we just repeat that same pattern, so it would sound something like this. Then after that, you get a pattern of 3 notes that is just snare hi-hat. So it would sound like this. And then you have the same first pattern again. And then the last pattern of 2 notes, you'll get just bass drum alone and hi-hat. So the second part of the groove would be something like this. Now playing the whole groove would be like this. Now let's play together with the backing tracks. So the next section of the PDF is called Ghost Note Grooves. And as the name says, is about ghost notes. And what is interesting about this part of the PDF is that we can really have a look into the dynamics of the left hand at the same time that we are seeing the variations on the right hand. Now this whole section is in 7/4, and this groove that we're going to see now, we're actually going to count the eighth notes. So we have again 14 eighth notes and just groups of 3 and 2 notes. So if you look at it, it seems like a lot of notes, but in the end it's just this pattern of 6 notes that repeats later on the end of the groove, and in the middle we have an intersection of 2 notes. So if you have these 6 notes nailed, you have the groove, you can play it. So now let's have a look on this first group of 6 notes. So we have bass drum, snare, snare, bass drum, snare, snare. The thing is that we are playing quarter notes now on the hi-hat. So the right hand's not gonna go together with the bass drum. So it's better to just look at the first group of 3 notes. So the first group of 3 notes is gonna sound like this. Now the second group of 3 notes doesn't start with the hi-hat. So it's gonna sound like this. So putting both groups of 3 notes together is gonna sound like this. And then after that you have an intersection of 2 notes. Very simple. And then we have again the same pattern of 6 notes repeating. So putting this intersection of 2 notes together with the next 6 notes is gonna sound like this. Now the whole groove will sound like this. Now we are doing ghost notes, so we need to have a look on the accents and the dynamics of the left hand. And we just have one accent on the first group of 6 notes. The thing is that it is connected to a ghost note. So you really want to work on this control of the accent followed by a ghost note. It's a lot about the tension on your forearm. That's what's going to control the hand. That's what's going to control the stick. So the groove is going to go like this. Now let's play together with the backing tracks. Okay, now we're gonna have a look at one of the variations of this groove. Now this is gonna start to get a bit more difficult. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna put on the right hand this pattern here. How we can count this? We can count like this. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. But because there's a lot of notes going on between the left hand and the bass drum, let's look at this separately, breaking down each part. So the first part of 6 notes is going to be almost the same as we did before. So we're just going to add an extra note on the last notes of this group of 6 notes. So it's going to sound like this. So then we have the intersection of 2 notes. And then we have the last group of 6 notes that is just bass drum, snare, snare, bass drum, snare, snare. But the right hand is going to be different. So if we look the 2 groups of 3 notes that consists this group of 6 notes, they are almost the same. Just the second group of 3 notes has an extra hi-hat. So it's going to sound like this, the whole group of 6 notes. Now if you put this intersection together with the last 6 notes, will sound like this. Now playing the whole groove will sound like this. And now adding the accent would sound like this. Now playing together with the backing tracks. So those are the sections that you're gonna find on the PDF, and of course we just saw 6 grooves, but there are almost 200 grooves on the PDF. And actually in the end we have another section that is called compilations, which is just 16 bar compilations with ideas and grooves that we saw in the previous sections. And if you like this video, don't forget to press the like, to hit the subscribe, to ring the bell, and of course we want to know what you think. So if you have any comments, please share with us. If you have any complaints, any compliments, and don't forget to go to the website, because we're always going to be uploading some new content. We're going to be giving samples of the PDFs, the backing tracks, and the audio files, so you can understand how much that material can improve your drumming. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next videos.